4.3 number 45. 10. I'm sorry. I can almost. 10.3 number 45. 45. Here we go. So we have log base 6 of the square root of 216 equals x. Okay, hold on one sec. So this is in log form. Are we able to convert it to exponential form?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
what?
Because
is that the one that why wouldn't we be able to?
Yeah, exactly.
Do the circle thing. Oh, right, because then you'd have to put the 7.
Correct. What's the coefficient right here?
0.
No.
1.
Coefficient is 1, so you can convert it. 6 to the x is equal to the square root of 216. Then you need to focus on what number? What is that?
6 to the third.
6 to the third. What is square root power? Square root is to the 1/2. Powers of powers you multiply, right? So now you have 6 to the x is equal to 6 to the 3/2. It's not canceling. Remember, it's not canceling. If this is true, then what has to be true?
X equals 3/2.
X equals 3/2. There it is.
No, it's 2 Well,
Can you combine them yet?
Not yet. What
do you do, Connor?
Okay. So it's log base a of 5 to the third minus log base a 3 to the fourth.
Now what can you do?
And now
What does it turn into?
Log base a to the 5 to the third over 3 to the fourth.
Done. You could if you wanted to. You could have written it out if you wanted to. It doesn't really change anything. It turned it into that. That's fine. Keeping it like this is totally acceptable as well. There it is. You have to move the exponents first. The exponent needs to be, the coefficient needs to be 1 in front of the log in order to use those basic log rules. Okay? Anything else in when you have an exponent? Do you usually write that 1 in? No. You could, but do you normally? No. So there is a common base, and it's base 10. Anybody know why we use base 10 as the common base? The number system we use, the way we count, is base 10. Our counting system is base 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is base 10. Are there other bases you could count in? Sure. Why do you think we use base 10?
The American unit of measurement only is base 12.
Kinda, but the American unit of measure is crazy. It should go away. You know, Jimmy Carter tried to change it so that, you know, like we were in line with, I don't know, the rest of the world. It didn't work.
We're just too American.
We're just too American. But why is base 10 a really common base to count with? There's a really straightforward answer to this question. Thank you, Hannah. This is why, everybody. We have 10 fingers. There are other bases. You see vestiges of other bases. Anybody speak French? How do you say 80? Say 84 in French for me, Harry. Yeah. How do you say 84 in French? Yeah. How do you what's the literal translation of those words?
Like 420.
Exactly. Like a lot of the French counting system, it comes up as base 20. Basing, there's different, not translations, but there's different ways to use different bases, but in general, base 10. Can you write numbers in other bases? Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, for example, like binary number system, what's that? Base 2? Because there's zeros or ones, right? Anyway, so base 10 is the most common base for the most part, and if you don't see a base, so if I wrote this, what does that mean? Log base 10 of 5. If you don't write it in its base 10, it's super right here for me, okay? Verify these, and then do the last we'll talk about actually on this one. If this was a quiz, I would really like you to write either this. Sorry, oh, I can almost transcribe numbers. Sorry. Or that's what I would prefer. On the AP exam, which I hope some of you will end up taking one day. Don't do that. Like, you don't know. AP, that's what we should do. Should we design like the AP algebras? You know, one thing I did years ago, for several years, I made T-shirts for we made AP calculus T-shirts that we wore during the AP calculus exam. It said varsity calculus on the back. So one year I was teaching like algebra. I was teaching like pre-calculus, AP calculus, and then AP AB, and then AP BC, and then like multi. I was teaching like 3 different levels. So I wanted to make like calculus JV, calculus varsity, and like calculus pro, and like have our rosters and like numbers on the back of our jerseys. It'd be fun. So here's the thing, everybody. The reason I go to 3 decimal places is because that's just what I've been forced to do for AP calculus line. But do you understand the difference in rounding I just did on number C? On letter C, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, you can either truncate or that's fine. Do all these check? Do these work? Does anybody have the fourth one for me to 3 decimal places? Mar, what do you have?
2.200.
Anybody have that?
Yeah.
Oh, it would be
201.
Okay,
That's the first.
that's fine. Now here's the thing. This right here is pulled out directly from a word problem. You will get, this is a practical application of logarithms. pH. pH is a measure of what?
Acidity.
Acidity. I guess you could also say it's also a measure of baseness.
Baseness.
What's the equivalent? Is it baseness? Although that just sounds terrible because that means something else too.
And then something's acidic and then something's basic.
Yeah, so this is a measurement. This is a measurement of acidity, but it's also a measure of basicness. Even baseness and basicness both are not. I think they're correct, but they also have different meanings. Like baseness, you know what that means?
No.
You can look. It just means different things. Anyway, wow, we have just gone on a tangent here. Hey, I got some vocab in there for those English people out there, right? Yeah. You're welcome. Decibel level of a sound, sure, but you would need 2 things to use this formula. You would need to know the intent. They call it what? The intensity. And they don't really tell you what intensity is, but there's a way to measure the intensity. But you need the intensity of the sound and a really quiet sound at the same time.
So they balance.
It's kind of like the music track, if delivered through headphones on an iPod, has intensity of this. Here's the intensity right here. What do you notice is part of the intensity measurement? Hey, how do you pronounce? Anybody know how to pronounce that? It's I sub-0. It's I naught. And how do you spell naught? Anybody know? Nope.
Oh, this is like a measurement of knot.
It's all for naught. Means nothing.
N-A-U-G-H-T.
N-A-U-G-H-T. Yeah, this is one of those like spelling bee ones. Anybody ever watched the script spelling bee before? It's super fun to watch. The kids who get up and do the national spelling bee. The best moment I've ever seen is like during the last one. They cycle through. If you get one wrong, someone else gets it right, you out, and the next person's in right. The funniest moment I've ever seen. There's actually a few funny moments, but one of the best moments was, kids are getting up and it's like spelled not, and that's not easy, right? You have to think, what's the definition? There's a lot of ways to get it wrong, right? Kid gets up and the guy's like, please spell H. And then he goes, what? And the whole audience kind of erupts. He gets it right. Every letter has a proper spelling. How do you spell H? Don't look it up. Tell me. Let's have a guess here. Kids, right here. You need to plug it in. That's it. So this is going to go right there. And what are you going to end up with? D equals 10 log of what? 3.162 times 10 to the 9th I naught over I naught. But look, you're like, oh, I need I naught, right? But what cancels? Yeah, because it's all multiplication on top, right? So these cancel, and you can use your calculator. Use your calculator and tell me those values. It's called the natural number. E shows up all over the place in nature. It shows up all over the place in nature. How many people have taken biology before? Shows up all over the place in growth rates. It shows up all over the place in nature. Pi is the circumference of a circle divided by the diameter, right? E comes up all over the place. So it's 2.7182. It goes on. It's irrational. There's ways to calculate it to arbitrary decimals. But on your calculator, there is an ln button. On your calculator, there is an ln button. Find it and verify for me that this is true right there. I think why ln is sometimes used instead of log. What's ln of A minus ln of B? Sorry, not an. What's that equal to? Ln of what? O over B, right. It doesn't matter what the base is, right? What's that equal to? Log of A over B. So mechanically, the steps stay the same. I have some textbooks that use log, L-O-G, all the time, base 10, right? I have other textbooks that use ln by default. Does it change the mechanism? No. Why do you think some textbooks use ln instead of log? There's a really simple reason. Has nothing to do with frequency. Look at the words themselves. It's less letters. I really believe that some books use ln instead of log when given the choice because it's less letters. I will tell you, you're going to write log like a million times. If you have to write that one letter less, it can matter, right? Who knows? I have no good reason. But some books will literally have the same work, right? ln or log.
But that's still log base 10.
It's still log base 10. It is still a different function. But the mechanisms stay the same. But if it's an arbitrary choice, I think that some textbooks just choose ln because it's less what?
No, letters.
Letters, that's it. Not what you should focus on right now, but that's
Okay, it shows more.
shows more, right? But let's say I did a window again. And what's your X max live? What's your X max?
is 2,000.
2,000. Okay, look. If I change the x max to 2,000, that's fine. Look what's going to happen. Does it cross? It just shows that it crosses, right? The point being, it's not actually an asymptote. Kind of looks like at the beginning, but it's not. So on your calculator, do this right now. Do this on your calculator and tell me what this is to 3 decimal places. Tell me what this is to 3 decimal places. Now, on your calculator, do this for me. Do ln of 70 over ln of 8. Tell me what that comes out to be.
Wait, is that supposed to be?
Natural log, ln of 70 over... Oh, what does it come out to be? Oh, remember what the rule says? What can b be? Anything, right? So why did we choose 10? Because it's what your calculator has. But could you just also use ln instead? Absolutely. So, Milo, give me any number you want that's not negative. 2. Nick Garofano, give me any number that's not negative. How about 903? That's going to be equal to what? Someone use ln, this half of the room, and the other half of the room use log. And then when you have your number, raise your hand and I'll get the decimal from you. How do we check to see if this is correct?
Wait, sorry, did you say 818?
He got
Around
9.818.
that, it should be 819.
Okay, so do this for me. Do 2 to the 9.818. What do you get? What should you get?
903.
Oh, do you get 903?
I figured out the starting.
Yay, very cool. So once again, the store feature, everybody, if you do ln, 903 divided by ln of 2, you get the answer, right? You got that right there, right? Here's the thing. You see that big decimal? You can store it. In the bottom left, you see the STO button? STO does the answer means ANS, which is the last answer. And then you see all the green letters on your calculator? You can pick any one you want by hitting second. I am now storing 9.818582217 as G. So every time I type G, what is it going to give me? So what can I do? I can now do 2 to the G instead of typing that decimal. Oh, look, it's 903. Is that kind of helpful?